Welcome back to the Freerider Custom Series. Today is a biggie. The exhaust is on, the cam is in, and we've tuned her up on the dyno. This bike is absolutely ripping. And with all this newfound speed and torque, it's time to do something about the suspension. Across the Harley-Davidson range, you'll see a lot of different suspension setups. On the more chopper style bikes like the Breakout, they have a monoshock that hides the rear suspension. On the newer bikes like the Sportster S or the Pan America, you also have a monoshock. But the Pan America's mono is housing a piggy-backed rear reservoir. More on that later. On their touring bikes, for the most part, you will always find a twin shock setup on the rear that are connected to the swing arm and the frame. And that's because on a touring bike, you're, well, touring, so you want as much comfort as possible. What's really cool about the Road Glide Special is you can adjust your rear suspension, and you do that with this knob here. That adjusts the preload, and the preload is the amount of tension in the spring. Now, what a lot of people don't do is correctly set up their suspension, and it's really easy to do, especially if you go to the manual you got when you purchased your bike. Inside here tells you exactly how many clicks or turns you need based on your rider weight and whether you're wearing gear or not. If you haven't had your suspension set up properly, odds are you're riding on the bumper, and that's that little guy right there. Not good. You're gonna have an uncomfortable ride. So you wanna set it up so that the travel is correct and the body of the suspension isn't hitting the bumper. And you do that based on how heavy you are. So like I said, check your manual for your settings or have your Harley tech set it up for you. It's gonna be like night and day for the bike's performance. Right, Andrew? As you remember, we want this build to be all about performance. And when I look at the bikes in the Bagger Racing League,
they're running seriously advanced suspension setups. Reverse forks, remote reservoirs, it's science for them. Very important when at high speeds that you can actually turn a bike.
suspension affects every facet of your motorcycle. Acceleration, braking, and turning, it's all critical to the bike's performance. One of the reasons I love racing so much is that the parts being developed for the factory teams often get adapted for us street riders. This kit we will install today is exactly that. It was developed by the Screaming Eagle Performance Race Team and Öhlins, and it is ready today to put on your performance bagger. And that's exactly what I plan to do. Well, plan to have Andrew do, because otherwise he gets bored back there. And this is what it looks like out of the box. Now, there's a few things going on with these shocks, but they're pretty easy to explain. This knob here is your compression adjuster. Now, the compression adjuster adjusts the speed at which the suspension compresses. That's going to stop upward wheel movement and means if you hit a bump, you're less likely to bottom out. This cog-looking thing is your rebound adjuster. Now, that's for downward wheel movement, like if you hit a pothole and how fast your suspension is returning from full extension. At the top of the suspension is your preload adjuster right there. And we talked about preload before, and that's adjusting the travel and sag and how much the suspension drops down when you sit on your bike. This is your remote reservoir. Now, you won't see this on stock suspension, but what it does here is it has a little bladder on the inside, and that separates the oil and the nitrogen gas to prevent cavitation. Sounds pretty hardcore, but in simple terms, it's keeping the oil in your shock cooler. And when you're aggressive riding and the shock's heating up, you want as little heat in there as possible so that you can prevent poor performance. Last but not least is the length adjuster. Now, that's just adjusting the length of the suspension between the swing arm and the frame. You can go max 8 millimeters over or 2 millimeters under standard ride height. And that's about the long and short of it. Let's get this install going. Andrew.
Hey, Dave.
How are you, buddy? You all right?
Good, mate. Yeah?
It's really good to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
Big day today, suspension day, and I know you are a huge fan of suspension setups.
Yeah, love them.
Have I overstated that?
No, I don't think so.
No, not too much?
Yeah.
Good. How important is a good suspension setup, even if it's stock on your bike?
Very important for handling and comfort.
Am I going to notice a big difference between the stock setup and the Öhlins kit?
Can notice a big difference.
More stability in cornering, bit of precision in the cornering.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to turn better?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to it. You ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, brother, let's go. Andrew, all done.
Dave, all done, mate. This is for you.
Thank you very much.
So you can adjust your rear suspension up or down,
Okay.
depending on the height you want.
It's adjusted for my weight,
That is
right?
correct.
Already the weight's set up. Anything else I need to know now that we go on road?
Have a feel of it. If it feels too soft,
Yeah.
wind them up a bit. If it feels a bit hard, lower them down a bit.
And I can do that with
Wind
these
'em off.
clickers right here.
Yep, correct.
Beautiful, man. Nice and easy.
It'll work out great.
Thanks very much for today. Always a pleasure.
No worries. Cheers.
So that's it, the suspension's on, and it's not a huge job, but not one I would want to do myself. Fortunately for me, there's only one Andrew, but all good Harley dealers have a bunch of Andrews running around that love bikes and love upgrading them. Now that's it, suspension's on. It's the last upgrade we're doing for the custom series. We just wanted to show you guys at home some obtainable upgrades that you can put on your baggers at home. Now, of course, all upgrades are available for other bikes, and if you go to your local dealer, they can point you in the right direction. As for me, I think I know a good place I can test my mods out.
3, 2, 1.
Now we had a bit of extra power, we had the stability from the suspension, but these upgrades are basically the tip of the iceberg. Now whether you want a performance bagger or you just want to do something a little bit different for your ride at home, the options are only limited by your imagination. We had so much fun doing this today, and isn't motorcycling all about fun? We hope you guys enjoyed season 1 of Freerider. See you for the next one. Ride free.
You don't have a bigger torque wrench than that?
Nah, they're not that tight.
They say big torque wrench, big torque. Bounce on it. Did you make me do that?
It's like using a pair of bolt cutters. That gets me every time. A bit of a twist. Twist here. Beautiful. Oh. You know, you're sitting there like... He loses it.
I cut those bolts clean. I hope that's not my tool.
This is your tool,
All right, thank you.
so you can... Actually, can we do that again? Sorry, guys.
Pleasure.